Hi everyone. I have the No Name Yet quilt along, still in place, still going. Blocks are all done. If you've been keeping up with that portion of my channel, I revealed last week that all the blocks are done, but now I'm putting it together. And remember, I'm doing 2 quilts. I decided to grow my color quilt and shadow the blocks, and I think this is working well. I have a little bit less than halfway to go, and I'll be done with this. I did have 2 fabric runouts, so hang on. I have this gray, which looks like wool, but it looks very textured. I had a yard of this. I did not put this in EQ8 and load it up to see how much yardage I needed. I just assumed a yard would be enough. Well, it wasn't. And because I bought this on sale, and I did not buy it from my local area quilt shop, I can't find this in my normal haunts on the internet. So either, let's get to what we'll do about that in a second. I also had 3 yards of this grunge and thought it would be enough, and again, I did not load it in EQ8 to figure out the yardage, and out of the 3 yards, I have this much left. This is not going to be enough. The good news is this was purchased, and I don't know the name of it. This was purchased at my local area quilt shop. My mother actually bought me a quilt kit for Christmas, and so I went in, I'm like, hey, Mom bought me a quilt kit. I need more of this fabric. I didn't bring the fabric. I said, I think it says it's Moda Basic Gray, but I think it's grunge. And it was in a kit y'all offered with 2 jelly rolls and adding to a pattern that was already in place, but y'all figured out something else. And they knew exactly what the name of the pattern was, so they went back through their records and said, yes, here's the bolt of fabric. You can buy more fabric. So I now have this, so I can continue. I probably could have continued, but I still need the gray. So here's the thing. Us quilters do this a lot. When we make purchases online and then we put them in our stash, then we don't even realize what we've bought. Luckily, I have another yard of this, which will be enough because I'm more than halfway, so I know this will be enough. But you cannot tell it, but one of these shades of gray is darker than the other. But because I will be separating this from here, and you can really tell farther away that this is lighter. When I separate this out by white, you will not be able to tell that this is different fabric. So, whew, thank goodness I actually overbought. So, this saves the day. I just picked gray because it's a nice shadow color, and then panicked when I got about halfway and realized I was going to run out of fabric, and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Because I think this is dated fabric from several years ago. I don't know. So, this is coming along, but I need to reveal the secret quilt. And let me go ahead and unpin this, and then I'll insert a picture, and then we'll talk about it. the hourglass quilt. This is why I originally called this the hourglass quilt along, because I knew there was an hourglass shape in this. I'm thinking about entering this into the Modern Quilt Guild under traditional pieced blocks because it is very unique. It creates a very large quilt block. Am I completely happy with this? Yes and no. When you have shades of red, it becomes very difficult to put the shades of red together to make your block look like a quilt block instead of a washed out mess. Are all of my blocks a washed out mess? No, there's probably a couple. I do like the majority of how my neutral blocks turned out. Let's get a close-up, and I'm going to go ahead and insert a picture. Okay, so there is a disclaimer. When I was making this, I actually made 3 blocks the wrong color. All of these blocks are in the assignment they're supposed to be, except for 2. One of those blocks was so hard, I decided not to remake it in the right color. So this block I made in the wrong color, which I could have made that in red, but I already made this one in red, and it belonged here. So I just swapped those around, and I did make this block the wrong color. I made it in whites, and so I had to remake that block. Some days you're thinking cap just is not on. And because I didn't have this pinned up on the wall, because I wanted it a secret reveal, that is why it got made wrong. I just wasn't paying attention. We all have our moments. So let's look closely at the blocks. This was the demon block. The demon block. And this one was the demon block. And so I've made like 4 demon blocks. Yeah. This was one of the blocks I really liked on my color quilt, and it really turned out very well on my white block. I really like that block, so maybe I need to look into making that a bigger block in a quilt. Again, I like how my bow ties turned out on my other color as well as white. So this fabric has been in my stash. It was given to me, and it's a very, very hard fabric to use. I went ahead and put it in there. When you step back, it loses its green and it looks red, so I'm pleased with that. Let's see. This one, I really liked how this turned out on the color quilt, but because this is just using 2 colors, it totally washed out the block and you can't even tell what that is, so I'm not really liking that. Let's see. I did use a lot of stripe because I have a lot of stripe. Again, that was given to me. I wish now I would have selected a different color and not had so much stripe. My least favorite block is that one. It's just so ugly. It is so ugly. But again, when you only have so much red and you go buy more red on red, it's really hard to make it show up. So let's see. That one was hard, but it turned out really well, and this was my second block, and it did really well. So I know that I'm going to name this Hourglass, and I will be posting a short probably in the coming days with a poem for this quilt because it deserves a poem. And as you can see, there are my blocks that I have left to sew onto the colored quilt, and I'll probably have that done and have another reveal for you. Let me know what you think about this. Do you like how this turned out and how I manipulated fabrics? I highly recommend, if you're making a quilt and you want to make a 2-color quilt, make it with your scraps and make your scraps work for you. Thanks for watching.